Hello and welcome to the Black Diamond podcast. I'm your host Ashwin, joined today with my co-host,
Shikha Khandelwal.
and we have here our guest.
Dane Arbuckle from Richardson International.
Great. So Dane, you've kind of done this before last year, so I guess like you're an experienced, person coming around here. So how does it feel to be back in the studio?
Feels good. Feels good. And a little bit more comfortable second time around with all the cameras and all the mics and whatnot. And, helps to have worked with the both of you now. Happy to be back. Happy to be invited back.
That's great. That's great. So for our viewers who haven't watched the first episode that aired last year during Splash, could you just give us a brief introduction, about Richardson as well as what you do at Richardson, and from there we can get into the journey of Richardson and in OneStream. So
Absolutely. So Richardson International is an agribusiness company, also diversified into the agricultural processing side of the business as well. So really from an accounting side of it, it's the retail accounting, commodity trading accounting, and manufacturing. So those are the three areas that we're involved in. We do everything from sell the initial seed to our customers to buying the grain back, handling, merchandising it across the world, and in some cases selling it to our processing companies to further refine it to a product that's going to be consumed either by a wholesaler or sold as private label, or in some instances we do have some brands as well that we've acquired that would be ultimately consumed by the end customer. So Richardson's been around for 160 years. There's been a lot of growth in that time. But for me, I joined coming up on 8 years ago. And currently I'm a senior manager in our digital ambition group, digital finance and digital ambition group. And I've been in there for almost, coming up on 2 years now. And so my core responsibility today essentially revolves around OneStream. And our OneStream implementation, and everything that comes with that. So as I mentioned a little bit before, we are growing, we have grown, and we continue to grow. It's one of our mandates from our board and from our owners. And so as we looked to continue to grow, we realized we needed to scale. And in order to scale, we needed to have a solution. And we chose OneStream to help us with that scalability. And so since November 2023 is I think when Sheik and I met at our initial kickoff, it's all been with the goal of setting up Richardson for that future growth to allow us to continue to acquire companies or do that capital expenditure to grow the business, whether it's new greenfield locations or building new plants or expansions on those plants, to set us up to not only report on it quickly and get that information into the key stakeholders' hands on a timely fashion, but also to allow us to build out some what-if scenario modeling. And that's what really, I really enjoy my role, and I've really enjoyed learning about OneStream. And that's where I'm excited to go with Richardson, is building out that next level, and we're close.
We're close, yes.
In getting there.
great. So Shika, so you've been part of the Richardson journey since the initiation, right? So I guess like from your lens, can you talk a bit about how things started and where you see Richardson is at right now?
Oh yes, for sure. It is a good journey. We started with the planning piece, and now we are still growing on the planning piece. But I know when initially it was, and the one part which I like about Richardson is they have this digital ambition team that is dedicated to OneStream. So yes, at that time I think it was just formed in that small group. But now these are like, when I see now after 1.5 years or so, they are so educated on OneStream.
Got it.
It is like so much good working with them, because with the OneStream journey, the team has also learned a lot.
Yep.
And now they question a lot of things, which is good working. Yes.
I'm sure you enjoy it, and
I do, for sure.
So yeah, there's been a ton of growth, right? We had two admins at the start. One of them has since retired, but a lot of knowledge, and certainly it's been fun to see them, grow in their roles as administrators. And now, a year ago, Amanda was sitting beside me. We were co-leads on the implementation project, and She since got promoted to move into the
Business.
boarding side of the business. But it's been a great resource having her in the processing side of the business who understands OneStream. And we've realized that that's so helpful to have someone within the business that understands OneStream. So we've really been pushing that. We now have essentially an equivalent of that in the grain side, which is Mandy. So who's also here at Splash. So it's very helpful to have the team now familiar with, we're talking about the dimensions. You're talking about, well, that's going to be a metadata change. Well, we're going to have to impact a business rule here. And that's going to be a lot of work, or this will be quick. We can kind of talk that lingo. We're obviously not a BDA.
See, you can see
Yeah.
how educated these
And
guys
I think
are.
that's pretty impressive. Like usually in evolutions of like EPMs, the customers who kind of start taking more on their own get to see more of the benefits. And I can clearly see like, within Richardson, like you started with a roadmap of like where you want to go. And then you started like, making sure you bring in the users as well as part of the whole process. That's very impressive, like, and very refreshing to see, like with customers as they evolve in their own digital transformation journey, to actually commit to that digital transformation journey. So that's like refreshing.
Yes. So that one commitment part for Richardson, I have seen this is the differentiator with I can see with other clients, the commitment of the team, and hence there is a dedicated team assigned for OneStream project, which we rarely see on implementation.
Exactly.
That is one of the reason for the success, I would say, for the Richardson, that you have a dedicated team who is hands-on in OneStream now. You are educated, like you plus the core team is educated a lot on OneStream, that the kind of questions you come up is amazing to see. And it is so happy to see a client reaching that level. That is the commitment.
Yeah, it's fun.
it.
I mean, I think we kind of learned the hard way, right? This is when BDA came in. It was essentially our second phase. First phase for you guys, but we didn't have a fully dedicated team on the
first one. Yes.
on the first one, right? So we do the same thing again. Would be, I think there's a famous quote there. Repeating yourself would be insanity or something with Albert Einstein. And so it would have been silly to try and run it back with a team that's half in month end and then 2 weeks on the project and then back in month end, right? It's so hard to get that continuity if you're constantly pulled in two directions. So that's certainly been a big help on for myself, right? Being able to focus so significantly on it. And I think just in the future, it's probably something that we're not going to stray away from, right? Any terms we've got an implementation to come through, let's put the proper resources on this and make sure that we're setting ourselves up to success. It's so easy to say, okay, well, this person's just going to take and own this project on top of their regular responsibilities.
Right.
But what I find happens a lot of the time is you run out of the whether it's the bandwidth or just the sheer time constraint to push through proper changes so that you have it set up properly for the long term. And you might be tempted to go with a quick Band-Aid solution to say, okay, well, in the perfect world, it would be you could use our balance sheet example, right? You split the companies at the ERP level, it comes in clean, and then you move on, right? And it's just a non-issue. And so that's one example, but if you don't have a dedicated team looking at that in totality, there's a lot of those little micro decisions that can add up and make a really complicated app at the end of the day, which is not user-friendly, which is what I'm trying to...
I love the way you're talking, Dane. Now, I will pick one thing out of it. So your phase one, not ours. Your phase one and phase two. Obviously the approach changed for you guys, like you learned from it and you changed the approach. The another thing I want to pick you to talk about is, did you see any change in the overall like finance transformation approach as well? Like, I guess what I'm asking is, in the phase two, we're working with us, did you see that you're not only implementing, but you're also transforming your finance?
Absolutely. And I mean, that was kind of the goal. The very first phase discussion was, we just need to get out of spreadsheets, just get us into OneStream, and then we'll think about transforming the business, right? But after we did that, and then, conversations with yourselves, it was, well, we probably, if we could step back in the past and tackle this anew, would be to say, okay, yes, we want to move in, but we have these long-term goals. Let's make sure that we are, yes, bringing consolidation reporting in, but we're building it in such a way that we can handle the planning when we get to that stage, right? And it was very much siloed. No, we're bringing in, just focus on consolidation, get Excel into OneStream.
Right.
And so there's some misses there, right? And some complexity.
So basically, like the journey actually gave you more appetite to bring the dependencies closer. Like instead of like thinking more short term, you're thinking more long term, as well as within the whole solution as a whole,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah, I guess we are building the solution to future-proof as much as possible.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, there's challenges. Like, I mean, when you think about transformation, you think about Richardson, and you think about the way that we've been doing things, right? We've been a company for a very long time.
Yes.
Obviously, Excel hasn't been around 160 years, but it's
Yeah.
it's been around long enough.
Long
People
enough.
are familiar with it, and that's all we had for reporting. We do have a number of subsidiaries, and that's just kind of as I think about our reporting and how it's evolved and how it's gotten to such complexity in certain line items in our reporting. It's not because the teams wanted to make it complex. It was just because Excel couldn't handle it.
Sure.
Right. And part of the transformation is teaching the teams that we now have a tool that can automatically consolidate these items. You don't have to create a subs, reporting in Excel, condense it to a line, and then just manually add it into a greater.
that's a great.
Yeah, and in that process, we've challenged a lot of things that, okay, why are we doing this way is because this Excel cannot handle it. But let's think out of the box and think how we can handle that in OneStream. And we've challenged a lot of those things during the process and succeeded.
So to that respect, like since you did speak about the evolution, from Excel to OneStream, and then also the fact about how to implement within the projects, can you talk a little bit about, I guess, with that journey, like now what the users are so used to in the system that's become second nature for them in OneStream, and they basically can't live without that. Are there certain features that come to your mind? Like, that you can talk about?
Well, absolutely. I think the code that I like the most is from our director of financial reporting. So he's the one who is ultimately responsible for the complete consolidation, right? And pre OneStream, it was God knows how many Excel spreadsheets he had tabs, and he'd be constantly updating links here and there and looking at all his checks and balances. And now he just presses refresh sheet.
I love
Everything
it.
is built. It's a one-click solution. So he's like happy as a pig in mud. Just saves him hours of work, right? So that's fantastic. He also owns the reporting of our rolling forecast. So prior to the OneStream implementation, we just kind of had a very high level Excel projection. Now we have it, at essentially the same level as our budget. Right, the teams update it at the same time they're doing their month-end process. Here, he just changes the month, refreshes, and he has the rolling projection like that. So I know that he loves that, and I know that the teams have started. We've been doing training over the last few months, and the teams are quickly learning to realize the power of quick views and how they can quickly manipulate them, look for the answers that they're searching for without necessarily always having to dive into IFS or ERP system. And so seeing them start to understand that, and obviously a lot of questions at the beginning, but that's been exciting to see. And now they're getting to the point where they're starting to think about, well, could you build this as a key view for me, or could you build this as a report for me? We have all of our reporting now built out at the Flash level within OneStream, so that's all in a nice dashboard. So it's just starting to explore, right? We're just kind of getting to that part where they're familiar with it now. Like they get the dimension structure that we've set up, and they're used to filtering for it. They're aware of the existing transformation rules between IFS and OneStream, so the connection is there in their minds. We also did an IFS upgrade, so with that, searching between the two, right? In a lot of instances, we had products or locations existing within our GL account structure in our ERP, which we've transformed into our new dimensions. And in IFS now with this, they have new improved search functionality. So you can just type in the first 3 letters and it will come up with a list of auctions. So
It's pretty powerful.
we're trying
Yeah.
to get away from the having to remember the specific GL codes and think like in OneStream. You just think that core accounts and think of the dimensions. So it's nice to see the team start to grasp that and starting to push now for, well, when can we start with account recs and transaction matching and start, leveraging more of the power of OneStream.
Fantastic. That's fantastic. Can you also talk about a bit, because you implemented planning, right? And I believe we implemented the Accordion solution that
Yep.
BDA has. Can you talk a little bit about that in terms of like how it's helped your users? Like, what are some of the features that they've been using a lot in there? So.
Well, Accordion was what we saw and we said we want that. So that was, number one why we wanted to go down this path. Is something very visual that made sense to us, right? We're typically budgeting it just a year in advance or forecasting a year in advance. So we just look at it in that kind of 2-year time frame. And I would say that for us, the benefit or what I see the teams using the most is the fact that it's all one model and the teams are all in it at the same time. So, again, pre OneStream, I'd have, our terminal accounting group in one spreadsheet. I'd have our Pioneer group in another spreadsheet. I'd have our grain commodity groups in another spreadsheet. They all impact the same bottom line. They're just different components of it. And if one makes one change in another, it would impact another and another and another. So we called it the smoosh. It would be when we
Yes.
condense all the files together and essentially smoosh them together. And we would essentially be crossing our fingers, hoping everything linked properly and that the math would actually work. So it's been a huge benefit to the team to be in the same model live. Any change that someone's making is being seen by the rest of the group at the same time. So that's been fantastic. And then just from having that rolling forecast ability to see your actuals come in, right? You roll to the next month, it sees in your actuals, and then if you have a driver based on your actuals, it's going to automatically update your forecast months, which is nice. You just don't even have, you kind of instead of forget it unless it looks out of whack. So we had, I would say the majority are out of the box drivers, but we did have some custom drivers that Shika and team built. And so those have been very helpful as well.
It's fantastic.
So on Accordion, you use the Accordion technology, but those are a lot detailed based on like each model is different than each other based on your business. So Accordion does supports different businesses, the same technology at the background, right?
Yeah. You look at any one of those models, they look very different, except that the key output is the same,
Is the
right? So you get it into that, calendarized, monthly calendarized view, stretching out 2 years, but everything to get there, all those custom calculations, and
Yes.
in some cases for the models, right? We have a crush business, we have durum, oat milling, food ingredients, and then our grain pipeline, as well as our CI. So they're distinct businesses. They required separate models, but the Accordion architecture handles it all.
That's fantastic. So we kind of spoke a bit about the past, also, where your journey is right now, but what are you looking forward to in the future? You're here at Splash. Can you talk a bit about that? Like, what are those features you're looking for at OneStream, and what's exciting you right now about it? So.
Yeah, I think there's a number of things. There's some that are longer term, right? You started talking about machine learning, the sensible AI solutions that they've got that are available now. We're not quite there yet, ready to implement, right? As Shika said, we're still kind of working through the planning phase, specifically on the balance sheet. But in terms of short-term wins, something that I'd like to see the team start using or hope to start getting familiar with is the narrative reporting ability. Through this year, we do have, while we're not public, we do produce a number of statements and a lot of commentary to our owners. So that would be really helpful. And then I think we've talked about it, but the Genesis solution that OneStream's, they're going to be talking about it Splash this year as well. We talked about it last year. Starting to see and potentially get our hands on understanding how that works better. Like, I'm not a developer. I would love a no-code solution that I can essentially configure, right? So that sounds really exciting to me. So I'm excited to see what they've got coming in the next few days here. And then long term really is that machine learning. We've had a demo earlier this year, seeing how I think there was 26 or 27 different algorithms that OneStream has created, and they put them into their AI arena to get you to the most accurate algorithm and selects that one. There's tons of use cases that we could, in a smaller subset, that I'm sure we could apply that to, but baby steps.
Baby steps.
You gotta walk before you can run. So that's kind of the short, medium, and long term is what I'm excited about.
You're also looking for, I guess, ESG and account recs and transaction matching. I've been talking to you guys about that.
Yeah, ESG is something we're just starting to, I guess, dip our toes in the water of. We've always had kind of the E portion of the ESG and some reporting over that, but we're starting to explore what the functionalities there are in OneStream and other solutions down the line. So very initial steps there, but long term, that's the direction that we want to make sure that we're prepared for. I know it's a key requirement in Europe now. It's likely a matter of time before it becomes in North America.
Right.
So we don't want to get caught flat-footed. And then from the account recs, I mean, we, like any large company, we've got hundreds, if not thousands of account recs. So any automation, streamlining of that process would be a huge time saver. So definitely something we want to tackle hopefully this year as well. But we'll see. We have lots of projects.
Oh my God, yes.
As Shika and yourself are now aware of. So don't want to bite off more than we can chew.
Yep. All right, that's great. So with that, any other final thoughts for OneStream and the viewers out there? Any, I guess, word of advice that you would like to give to customers out there for starting OneStream journey?
Word of advice, I guess I would just say think to the long term, right? Plan for the future. Your future self will thank you. And while it might be short-term pain, it will definitely be long-term pain. And other than that, I'd just say thank you guys for having me. It's been a blast.
Thank you for being with us.
Appreciate getting invited on for the next year.
Great. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.